without further ado, Rachel Varley was until very recently a Conservative councillor for Bingley Town Council in West Yorkshire. So, Rachel.
Hi, I'm so excited. I've been telling everybody that I know about this for the last few weeks. And I really, like Gillian said, strongly believe in the mission of the Parliament Project, and that's why I'm so excited to be involved. I was listening to what Gillian was saying, and I suppose my stories had some serious similarities, but is also really quite different. I am 22, nearly 22 next week, and I was elected to Bingley Town Council when I was 20. So I haven't been doing this very long. And so I hope I have something to say, but I'm not sure. I definitely don't have as much experience as Gillian in this area at all. But I suppose I'm very different in the respect that I don't look like a Conservative councillor, I suppose. And so I thought I would just start by saying a little bit about me. I am at Edinburgh University and I'm studying history and politics in my final year. So I graduate in a few months, but for the last 2 years, I've been juggling the council and my degree. And I've been travelling and commuting backwards and forwards every 2 weeks because there's a certain number of meetings that you have to attend. And I've tried to get to as many as I can. The council that I joined didn't exist before we were elected to it. So there's 16 councillors. Quite a broad political spread. We had 4 Conservative, 4 Labour, 1 UKIP, 7 independents, I believe. So that was quite interesting to work with lots of different people, and so it was quite difficult, quite challenging for me to sort of be nipping backwards and forwards. It impacted my degree. I felt like I wasn't doing well enough on the council because I couldn't be there all the time, and so it was hard work, but worth doing, and it was definitely one of the best things that I've done, and I would recommend people to do it. So I thought I'd say why and how I became a councillor. And it's not something I'd thought about doing sort of in the immediate future. I wanted to enter politics, and I thought that was something that would happen sort of 10, 20 years, 30 years maybe. It wasn't something I was thinking about doing, especially while I was doing my degree. My family's not political at all. In fact, I think my mother wants me not to be in politics. So I'm not sure. She's worried. She's worried about me being in politics, and so they're definitely not political. And I wasn't political at all until I started doing my A-levels, and I'd studied politics. I just decided to take politics because I thought that looks interesting. I could sort of get on board with that. And loved it, set up a politics society, and sort of sat down and worked out my political affiliation, and then joined the local association. And from that, I thought there's so many more opportunities from doing that. So that was the key thing to me, was joining the association. And I joined it, and I got MPs and councillors and things to come and talk to the rest of the school. Which was great. And then I came to university, maintained sort of that, it was only a small association, but I maintained my relationship with them, came up here and joined the association at the university, and have been sort of working with them. I was the vice chair for a little bit, and I've been doing some sort of Scottish Conservative politics up here, which has been great. I got asked to run as a councillor. I didn't, like Gillian was saying, it was something, somebody came to me. It wasn't something I sought out to do. And it was quite interesting because they didn't ask me directly. They asked my dad, who wasn't Conservative or political. So it was a friend of his who ran the association, and rang him up when we were sat at dinner and said, why don't you join? You've got a lot of free time on your hands. He wasn't working at the time, so why don't you do it? And he said, you know, why the hell are you asking me? Rachel's the one that's interested in this. Ask Rachel to do it. And this guy was like, oh my God, okay. So I then was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that. And it just sort of jumped at it. And that's how it happened, really. It was very bizarre. But I thought, like Gillian said, if I don't do it, they will handpick the people they want to do it. And so I wanted to sort of be the difference, and I'm glad that I did it. But what I would say was, I had no campaigning experience whatsoever. I didn't know what I was doing. It was good to have the association behind me, because they have, paid campaign managers and people whose job it is to get us elected and keep us elected. So, they produce the leaflets, they sort the campaigning out, and you just, do it. So that was great, because I wouldn't have been able to do that as an independent myself, because I didn't have, the level of, people didn't know me quite as well where I was from, in comparison to some of the people that had set up the council and were trying to get the council to exist. I very recently resigned a few weeks ago. And the reason I resigned was because I had to make a decision. There was quite a few things going on up here, and I wanted to do my degree, and et cetera, et cetera. But I was at odds with the local association. And in the brief that we got sent for this, it talked about integrity. And to me, integrity is what politics is about. And that's the main reason that I resigned. I was being told to vote a certain way, act a certain way, sit in a certain place in meetings. And I went and I tried to resolve this and said, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be told how to do this, And they said, if you can't get behind us and you can't act united. And I said, I can't defend some of the things you're saying. I can't defend what you're trying to do. I believed that my main responsibility, even after being elected, as a Conservative, was still, my loyalty was with my residents, and that was my job to represent my residents, and not do what the small Conservative association in that area wanted me to do. So that's what it came down to in the end. And a better way of drawing attention to that sort of hostility and the issues I was having was to resign rather than to sit there. There was various other issues going on as well, but it became quite clear that I was not doing what they wanted me to do. And that has now forced people to look into that, and people to support me and say, that's not acceptable, you can't do that, we've now lost a councillor because of this. So it's turned out quite well in that respect, and it's made more of a difference, which was what I wanted to begin with. I was going to talk about some of the difficulties that I faced with being so young and on the council. And the sort of benefits, there's two sides to it. There's benefits and there's difficulties with it. I sort of got the criticism that I was the token woman or the token youth that they required. And I had to deal with that. And I've had that all the time. I'm one of very few women in our university association. And quite a few times I've had people say to me, who did you have to get that job? Things like that. So I've had to, all that does is motivate me more. So I keep going. And I joined the council to sort of counter that and to say, Bingley definitely needed somebody to stand up for it, and it needed a council, and residents, needed somebody to defend them. So that was the local side of it. But to me, as well as that, it was sort of the bigger picture. And like Gillian said, if I'm not going to do it, who is going to do it? And that was like my motivation. And constantly I had to keep saying, you have to make allowances for people who are at university or work away, or can't be there and dedicate their entire lives to it, because people have jobs and people have other things to do. And so I said, if you can't make allowances for that, then you're just going to have the same people constantly being in politics, and it's going to be run by the same men, the same retired men, and that's what you're going to have. So I hammered this home all the time, and I did have a lot of support, which was great. But just to touch on the sort of the career politician thing as well, people were saying to me, you're only doing this because you want a career in politics and you think that this is the best place to start. I mean, it is a good place to start. There's no doubt about that. It's brought me some great opportunities. Like, for example, this is a great thing to do. And I'm so pleased that I can do this. But career politician obviously has so many negative connotations. I mean, we wouldn't say the same thing about somebody who wanted to be a teacher or a doctor. You wouldn't say, the experience beforehand is terrible for you. You shouldn't have that experience being a teacher or a doctor. And so I think it's great to be involved in politics because of your experiences and want to have your say and defend people. But at the same time, I don't think that being a politician as a career choice and going down that path means that you're devoid of passion or morality or anything like that. So I had to say that quite a few times when I'd been elected. And I think that's all from me.
Great.